You're listening to All Things 3D, where we talk about the world of fabricating, designing, and capturing in the third dimension.
It all begins from a single origin, a unique point in space and time. This is the spark of innovation that fuels your most amazing breakthroughs. It's a passion for discovery that unveiled the genesis of all that exists in the universe. Today, the power of AI helps computers achieve superhuman capabilities in image recognition, and lets scientists save our most precious resources by analyzing in 1 month what used to take 10 years. Everyday devices translate even the most complex languages from voice into text and images into words.
Xavier is now present,
helping the visually impaired recognize an old friend, or letting a blind woman read to her child for the first time. Autonomous vehicles give us the freedom to reimagine our city streets and travel where there are no streets at all, to help the lost find their way home. We see robots teach themselves to perform simple tasks. We even watch in awe as they take their first steps. And today, a 2,500-year-old game meets its match as a computer competes with one of the greatest human champions of all time and wins. This is the collective imagination, fueled by forward-looking technologies and the beginning of your most amazing discoveries yet to come.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone, to All Things 3D. There's a little tip from, or a little tidbit from GDC.
That was GTC.
GTC.
Yes. And that's what I watched on Tuesday. That was the keynote opening. And essentially, I thought, from a VR or graphics perspective, there wasn't a lot, but there was a lot about AI or deep learning. In particular, if you went to our main screen on Google Plus, I have their new K100 chip, which is based upon, P100, which is based upon the Pascal graphics chipset. And man, was that cool. And some of the things that they showed, I mentioned the word in the title, AI in a suitcase. Essentially, if you've ever seen a 3U rack unit, that's what they were showing on stage, and identifying, and you can go out to some of the links that I put up later on, in particular, how much more power they're able to push using this new Pascal chipset than they were in the past. And now imagine, let's say it's a suitcase, which can do a lot of AI or deep learning as they're calling it. But imagine a rack full of these things, and this is the direction they're going. And they, as you saw in the video, is some of the results of that. We're also working on, like many companies, an autonomous car. And let me see if I can find it. The GTC racing car. They're going to be.
I was talking with my friends last night about artificial intelligence, right? And it's if artificial intelligence had already taken over, which maybe it has, maybe it hasn't, I don't know, but they wouldn't want to tell us, right? Why would they? They would want to, so, it's not too far-fetched, too far of a step to go to wonder, if it's already happened, that behind the scenes, that this is already, AI is already, and they're just showing us little tidbits of, hey, guess what's coming, guys? Getting us all primed and ready, showing us the little Boston Dynamics dog bouncing up and down, But, they could already been doing this. I mean, they're 50 years ahead, they say. The military is 50 years ahead technologically than we are. And what have we accomplished in 50 years? It's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah, well, actually, I was in the Air Force for 13 years, and I never saw that. Maybe there's a special group that's 50 years ahead.
Well, you weren't part of the G.I. Joe underground.
Okay. You don't know that?
Have you gone to the G.I. Joe underground base that they have,
Okay.
the Cobra Elite Center or whatever?
Well, my opinion is no, AI has not taken over. It's not even close. However,
I'm not saying it
has
not. I have no opinion on the matter. I'm just saying it is plausible.
Yeah, but you're planting the seed. All right. Behind me is the vehicle that they showed off. This is what they plan to create and introduce into the robo race, where I guess it's an autonomous race that's coming up. I believe it's an all-electric design. They actually talked about its weight. It seemed a little heavy. Well, I can't say heavy, but it is, I think it was like 2,200 pounds, which I guess is not really that heavy for a vehicle. But yeah, kind of cool looking if they pull it off. I don't know if it actually exists or not. Other things that they covered, there will be, and I'm familiar with it because one of the application units, it's called Iray, but they're going to be coming out with Iray VR and then an Iray VR Lite. No, it's actually very important because what that allows them to do is compete with people like Otoy and V-Ray with their VR cube mapping. Now, one of the things that they say is different is one, their Iray is very powerful. You can have what they call light probes, and it's the light probes that allows them to have different iterations of the same scene. So, I'm not clear if you can actually move around other than just orientation. You can have positional tracking. I don't know if that is possible. It's mixed messages there. Somebody said that's why they have the light probes. I don't know if that's the case, but in the past, Iray has been free, and there have been companies who have added it to their products. One in particular we've talked about is DAZ 3D, who's included, which is a free program. If you've never been into 3D or want to tinker with it, or you need to get stuff out, prototypes, DAZ 3D is great because they have a huge inventory of 3D objects, many of them posable, animated, so that you can bring them in. But now with the Iray involved, you have light-based or photon-based rendering, realistic rendering. And this is all for free. So, I mean, obviously they make their money off.
And when you say Iray, is it like a ray of in your eye, like eyeball? Because when you say Iray, I really want to think Iray, like the reggae, the reggae term.
No, actually,
you know what I mean?
Let me see if I can find it.
When you say it, it's funny. VR, I mean, I just think Bob Marley going Iray. It's a reggae thing.
Yeah, so let's see.
Iray, Iray, Iray. Oh wow.
So they went through a whole bunch.
This is the keynote,
right? So they went through showing.
I gotta go watch this. I haven't watched this yet.
So they showed this Mars scene. They actually had Steve Wozniak, kind of, I guess he was brought in through the internet, and had him demonstrate this. He made, I thought, a funny comment. He said, "Oh, a little dizzy," and I can't remember who the CEO is, but Jin Song Hung Young.
Yeah, he's been. This guy's made a lot of announcements for some pretty big technology. NVIDIA has been going places.
Well, actually, if you follow the stocks, I just saw it last night. It was 63% up. So, I mean, it's impressive, and people are wondering if it'll continue. But back to Iray VR. So essentially, they're extending their Iray to allow you to create photorealistic, what do you want to call it? VR experience. It's actually an immersive static image that you can sit in. Remember last week we talked with Dominic about his little player? Well, this will be probably something he'll add to it. So you'll be able to play these as well if it's a proprietary format. But let's see, there we go. So there's an actual, so notice how he's moving it. But notice he's not moving in space, but maybe that device isn't set up to do so. If it's a static shot, other than it possibly being free for the Iray Lite, which is coming out in June, I don't see how this is any better at this point. And if anybody in the audience is watching and can tell us, I don't see how this is better than Otoy, other than Otoy has a cost with it, or using V-Ray, which also has a cost. So if they bring it out, at least the Iray Lite, at no cost at all, obviously that will be very interesting. But as again, he's not moving around. And this I've seen already, as we shown last week. So if this is just another product that's similar to the others, hats off if it's free. I can't wait to see it, and I can imagine that other people who are creating either open source or low-cost products will be incorporating it as well. So, and plus it takes advantage of the NVIDIA CUDAs and everything else for performance. So, yeah, let's see what else they. So he keeps talking about the same scene. You can come back later on. There will be in the show notes the link to the whole keynote. Road to VR, which we've talked about several times. Let's see if we have it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But essentially, they talked about how they can use or harness their GPUs for AI. Harness their GPUs for obviously photorealistic rendering using photon-based technology and light probes. Then they talked about obviously the autonomous vehicle. They have a package out, which is, and again, I don't have an image of it. I should have been more prepared, but and you can find it on the web. But essentially, that chip that I'm talking about, they put into a dual version that has all the connections to put into a vehicle, so you can drive the vehicle. And so it's all plug and play. And so if you have the proper, obviously, servos and so forth, this thing can be put in there. And then they actually showed, which I thought was pretty cool, a vehicle learning as it was driving. So it started out really a bad driver, but by the end, it was able to veer off the road. And I say that lightly. Veering means it turned off the road onto a dirt road that didn't exist, and it was able to navigate a dirt road, which they thought was important. I am assuming it is. So they're making progress as well. And so I thought that was kind of cool. So yes, NVIDIA is doing really well in the stock market. They are obviously bringing new products. However, keep in mind that they did have a graphics card snafu with one of their drivers about 3 weeks ago. In fact, it hit me as well. I had to jump back to a previous version of the drivers. Their latest one seems to have fixed that. My machine works okay. But many people actually said that it bricked their card. But that
my Titan driver, if I launch the installer, it blacks my screen and then crashes the machine right now.
Well, I would look into that.
Yeah, that could be what's going on. Yeah, I'm actually gonna go for a Quadro card.
Well, I know for a business perspective, but don't you have a unit coming pretty soon?
Yeah, no, for gaming, the Titan is still the one to go. But for SolidWorks, they have certified drivers for the Quadro series cards, and my SolidWorks stability with the Titan X has been no good. Yeah, so especially when I get into assembly modeling and that kind of thing. So I've been I'm gonna just buy a cheap Quadro, because you don't need to go. I don't deal in huge. I'm not doing any oil production engineering or anything. I mean, my assemblies are like 10 or 20 parts. They're not huge. So a small Quadro is I guess the card of choice. So
Yeah, and the big difference for our audience who may or may not know, even though they may use the same main graphics processor, what makes them different is they normally load them up with a lot of RAM and they certify them with particular drivers, in particular OpenGL. Even though they can run DirectX, they're made mainly for OpenGL or engineering or scientific community. And so, yes, but they don't, it's funny, they're not a hot performer for games, which is why I mentioned it, and it may not even be certified, but that's my story later on. So what do we have going on today, Chris, on our show?
Well, we've got a lot. It's a week in review. Today is April 8th, 2016. Time's flying by. We've got a lot of really cool stuff. We've got like some new 3D printers, some new Kickstarter projects. We got an update on the Bevel. We're going to cover a little bit more deep learning with the, Mike just talked a little bit on the Iray stuff, and then stick around and we'll talk about the Print Whisperer. I've got a tip today that might save you some time and frustration.
Oh, I hope so. Okay, well, I was going to bring it up, but I'll just mention a couple of things. We've got an update on Bevel. Now, as you know, we have talked about several Kickstarters, some very positively. In fact, I have another Kickstarter announcement, which I'll be talking about, which may have some interesting background on it. But the item that I have up behind me is the Bevel. Now, first of all, it was a very low-cost product, but what it would allow you to do is essentially 3D scan from your phone. Cool product. Actually had some great demos that they were showing, have some images out on their website as well as some files that you can download on its quality. But, even though it's made some good money, over 4,000 backers, people aren't really happy with where they're at it. Now, as Chris is going to tell you in a moment, we have a new phrase for what we're going to call delays in Kickstarters. What was that, Chris? What did you say earlier?
There was before 6 cents, right? There's
right.
EC is BS. It's before 6 cents. So now it's like the norm.
Yeah.
It's the norm for like a year is fine.
Yeah.
2 years. Okay. 2 years. We could start complaining now.
Yeah. And if it gets past that, then
people.
Well, I'm not concerned with it. I don't have a lot of money riding on it. I do know that they did put out their own scanner. It had delays as well, but they finally did ship it. So, sometimes you can be patient when you know there's going to be a product. Now, as we said, we have a new saying, before 6 cents. So anything that happens before 6 cents is okay. So we've had him on the show a few times, the CEO of Matter and Form. Saw them out at CES in 2015. I think they're stand-up people. They're just
they gave me an update, or they gave us an update a couple days ago showing that their UI, their dev team's on track. I think that's the critical difference between a company like a Kickstarter project that is going to piss me off or one that's not going to. Is if you're late, that's fine. I don't really even care if you're late. Even if it was a year late. But as long as they're giving you an update saying, okay, here's the status and here's why we're late. It's not just, okay, bro, or just not even saying anything. Like in some cases, like with the 6 cents thing, they're not even really telling anybody where they're at and where their units are going to, when they can even remotely expect their units. And that's not okay. So, Bevel, they sent this nice update that showed like some hidden Easter egg in the software, and they showed like the UI development. I got that on, I think that was on Friday of last week. And it was real, and they're like, yeah, we're a little bit behind, but no big deal.
Yep, totally agree with you. Okay, so let's get into our new little chapter on things, and that is, and I'll jump to it. I thought we'd start taking some viewer feedback and audience feedback. It's obviously very important. I guess we're getting big enough. Ooh, look at this, 698 views for our last episode.
All right.
So we're getting up there. And actually, as I mentioned, we actually had some likes this time. Not saying we have any dislikes. We just normally don't have anything. So thank you out there, people. We really appreciate that. But, and remember Joe Dunn? Chris? Yeah, I don't. Did you mention this to him? It's kind
No,
of cool that he must be following us. So, hey, Joe, thanks. But yeah, we're big fans of OnStream.
Onshape.
You know, I'm sorry about that. Onshape, and even though I don't use it on a regular basis or at all, Chris made something with it. So cool for Chris.
I love it. It's my new home. It's like my new home thing. Like if I need to whip something up, because there's a lot of times, I mean, when you live in the world like we do, I mean, you know, Mike, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I can't keep it in the brain because otherwise I'll never make it back to sleep. And then I'll just feel like crap the whole next day. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll have my pad. I haven't woken up in the middle of the night and scurried over to Onshape yet, but I'll draw it out. And then in the morning I'll get up and, you know, now draw it in or whatever. If I'm sitting there at night.
I know this may sound a little cliche, but I do have a little notebook I carry with me all the time, as well as on my bedstand.
It's not cliche. It's a good habit to have.
Well, it helps, especially as you get older like me. All right, well, back to this. One of the items that I think is great feedback, and we're going to try and apply it, and then later on I'm going to actually add it to my backgrounds. Somebody would like more delineation between our sections, and I totally agree with you. I'm also going to work on using YouTube's tool, which are very cumbersome to create chapters, so that if you want to go directly to a section, you know, I did that once, but man, I spent about an hour and a half. And if you're not aware of this, we kind of do this for free, out of the passion of our heart, and you know, it's not like our day jobs. So we do this because we like it and we like viewing it. But on that note, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to, as Chris has already been doing, he's going to introduce each section, but I'm going to throw up a slide, let's just say that at this point, a static shot for about 5-10 seconds, and then you can just scroll through it. And as mentioned in the new episodes, I'm going to add a little section that when I'm talking will give you a clue if I'm up on the screen. I may actually add it. It's a little more complex with my switching unit, but I may change my lower third to identify it. There's some tools that allow me to overlay over anything that I'm running, and I can just click on it. So I'll have to work with that. But we'll try and do a better job of delineating our chapters, because I know that we're both full of hot air, like to talk, and we go a long time. And I did promise 30 minutes, which then went to an hour, and then to an hour and a half, and our bloated episode, which I think we had a lot to talk about last
Okay, let's carry on.
2 hours. All right, Chris. So what do you got going on?
All right, 3D and technology. This one I actually found this morning is actually pretty cool. I had something in its place, but then this came along, and it's so much cooler that I had to cover it. I can't believe I missed it. It's on Kickstarter, and it's OSSIC X. Have you seen this, Mike?
I have not.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. They already got a 1.6 million. It's the first 3D audio headphones calibrated to you, and you can watch the video here. They've even got the CEO of THX in the video here that tests them out. But these headphones are specifically tailored for the VR. So this is a whole new breed of headphone is coming our way. And to really give you fully immersive, accurate 3D audio in your headphones. So they position drivers in the headphones so that it's perfect surround sound. So here's the CEO of THX here. And he kind of gives you a little spiel. So these headphones are designed to make you feel like you're really inside, just like VR. So they're going to be a really good complement to all of these great new VR products that are coming out on the market this year. So
what makes them different? I know in the past there have been several companies who created multi-driver, multi-positional drivers, as you just mentioned. What makes this different? I mean, obviously, if I was paying attention, I would know. Is it just a single driver with spatial?
I guess they claim that it calibrates to the individual listener's head and ear features, increasing overall sound quality and ensuring the most accurate sound placement, making for a listening experience that's 10 times more immersive than current technologies. So I don't know how they get that metric, but here's a little bit about their key features. So they have this thing called HRTF anatomy calibration. So it instantly calibrates to your head and torso without any lab needed.
Okay.
They have integrated head tracking. So,
okay, so this, all right.
the
So
headphones actually track your head when you turn, right? Along with the VR. And then they've got that multi-driver array. So you can read more about it and kind of find out. But let's see, they've got the early birds are all gone. They were $219, and then for $249 you can get on the. You can be one of the first on board to get the unit on Kickstarter. I'm going to hit the remind me button.
You are aware that you have drivers built into your unit, right?
Yeah, into the Oculus has headphones, but this is supposed to be even 10 times better. So,
well, okay.
It'll be interesting to see. I just thought it was cool. I mean, they've already raised an incredible amount. 6,300 backers have already backed the project.
Yeah. Well, okay. The positional tracker or the orientation tracker is interesting. I don't know. That means it's just another, what do you want to call it?
Layer.
SDK, a layer that has to be built into your software. So that will be something that they'll have to overcome. And then what else? Multi-drivers is cool if they do it right, and it looks like the cavity is large enough to do that. That has been done in the past, and normally the drivers, because it's not one large one, starts lacking in base. So I don't know if they figured a way around that. The sad thing about headphones is until you actually get to try them, you don't really know how good they are. But it looks like some interesting approaches. So
yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, on to our more interesting item. And this came in the news, getting back to 3D fabrication. This is called Slash.
I like how you went there with it.
Thanks. Working on my segues. But the Slash is a novel system that not only has a great price, under $1,000 if you got it in as an early bird, but about $1,100, $1,200, gets you an SLA with about the build size of the Form 2, maybe not as tall, but for $1,200 and 40 times faster. So as I mentioned in my title for this section, and by the way, this is one that we don't have a title slide for, but we are now in 3D and technology, or 3D technology. So for those of you who need an audio cue. So if you go out to their project on Kickstarter, you can see that they've amassed $225,000, 231 backers, and 19 days ago, so they're off a good start. They're out of San Diego, California. Now, a little side note before I continue to go through there and become critical about this. And actually, I'm looking at you, Chris. Again, sorry, audience, I need to work on that. Figure some way of automatically. Okay, so here we go. It's called Slash. It's the next level of affordable professional 3D printing. And you can get into it right now. Like I said, the under 1,000 are all gone, but they still have 211 left for $1,199 or $1,200. The Slash is, as I mentioned, finally you can have your cake and eat it too in the 3D printing world. We'll see. Brad Hill, who we've had on before, the master of the little SLA and something else coming out, or sorry, the little RP. He has another unit coming out soon, and hopefully we'll have him on to talk about that. But he, I go to my experts to find out, hey, is this thing for real? And he said, yeah, but he's a little concerned on something called the LCD panel. Now, what makes this different than like the Form 2 or even the Form 1 and others is that it doesn't use a laser. It uses a liquid crystal display unit to expose the layer. And then it uses something unique, I guess a water-cooled or liquid-cool cooling system to immediately cool that layer to prevent Geez, what does it prevent?
From it bonding to the build
There we
surface?
go. Yes. So this is what they indicate would improve the performance, because if it's not bonding, then you don't need a mechanical means of lifting, as we've seen in the past, well, which obviously could improve performance. The other thing they identified is that systems like this in the past, as you try to increase the speed, you normally have to increase the intensity, either of the laser or other things, and that can actually burn the membrane over time. And they said because of this cooling system, that will allow them not to have that issue. Here's a comparison of build size versus some of the others. As you can see there, it equally matches the M1, but looks like about half that of the Form 2. And then, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong area. Your resolutions, so it's actually half of, yeah, it's actually of good quality, supposedly. The Z resolution still seems to be, or the Carbon Men 3 has 1. But again, I've never seen a Carbon 3D. Don't know much about it. I know they exist, but they're extremely expensive, as you can see down here. They're showing 199 or 99, but that was the early bird special. It's actually 1,200. But this is the price of the others. Was the Form 2 actually $41.99?
The Form 2 was, I think, $3,500. It was $34.99 for the
That's
Form
what
2.
I thought too.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they get.
But by the time you get extra VATs and extra material, and
yeah, but that's not the point. I mean,
yeah,
here
no,
you're showing 999 for their early bird, which is like, what was it, 50 of them, and yeah, 30 of them.
it's called marketing, Mike.
No, 30 of them for $999, which is not their price, and then they show this Carbon M1, which they have it in red. I don't know. I guess
They're saying
fine.
December delivery on this.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Okay.
But
Wow.
getting back to it, and like I said,
I mean, they've got a finished unit. It looks like. I mean, they show the thing printing. They have videos of the thing printing. It looks like a pretty cool thing. I really want to see one of these. I don't need one, so I'm not gonna order one. But other people should order one, and I want to come check it out. And then when my SLA capacity fills up, who knows? Maybe I'll end up with one of these.
Yeah.
I like Brad's little machine too.
No,
but the autofill VAT is the only way to fly now. Now, yeah.
Okay. As I was saying,
sorry,
you can have your cake and eat it too.
And eat
it's
it too.
Always a red flag, and this looks too good to be true. So our job is to punch some holes in it, and that may be difficult since we don't have one. But as you said, here's an actual video in its operation. This is actual real unit. I do know that Kickstarter demands real images of a product, even if it's in prototype form. And here's some of the results of it. And it actually looks pretty clean. So, and they're solid. They're not just the latest type printer or objects that you see from some of the others. These are actual objects, obviously like this one here.
And they're California based.
And okay, well, but a little side note. I asked them to come on our show. They said, "Oh, great. Do we have to come down to your studio?" I said, "No, we do it through Google Hangouts." No response from them. Sent them a Kickstarter, sent them the information of getting on. No response after that. So
you sent it yesterday, though, right?
No, I sent it 2 days ago.
Okay, well, I mean, they're right in the middle of a Kickstarter campaign, you know,
this
so
is the
they
time
might be a little overextended.
Well,
so maybe next week. Maybe they'll join us next week. They'll tell us a little bit about it.
All right. Well, if you're listening out there, we would love to have you on there. Obviously, I've got some questions, and would love to get some answers for them. As mentioned, this LCD, which I guess is right here, so you have essentially an array of LEDs. You have an LCD panel that controls the exposure, and Brad's concern was, how do you keep that clean? And then I'm wondering, is this cooling system that they have here, obviously it must be transparent, could that be a concern? Where do they actually have it? I would assume it's probably underneath, but they show it in their illustration here being right underneath the LCD panel. And then you have the LED array underneath that. The LED array, I don't know if it's a 1-for-1, and then the LCD panel, I don't know if they identified the resolution of the LCD panel. Yeah, they show a WQXGA. Oh, actually, they're just identifying. So what do you think the resolution is on this?
They claimed it's down. If you go down, you scroll down, they say it's customizable and it's beyond what some of these other guys are doing, right? So it was down there. If you go to the Z height was 75 nanometers.
Yeah, but Z is a mechanical. I want to know
Or
the XY.
75 micrometers, excuse me,
Yeah, so
not
let's
nanometers.
Let's look at the XY resolution. So it shows, so it's comparable to the clip, and
oh no, Z resolution stated 10 micrometers.
right, but Z resolution is a mechanical. That's just how far your bed lifts. The XY is actually the in my opinion, the true indication of its resolution and what the LCD has to refine or display, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And here they show it. It's a 2560 by 1600. So they're using an LCD panel that is 2560 by 1600, and then driving it with a bright LED array.
I have some pictures of. I mean, honestly, the images they have of the models, those look show quality to me. I mean,
I not disagree at all. The only concerns
I want to see where these guys are showing, and we should go and check it out. Investigative journalism.
Well, okay. Well, like I said, the invitation is still out there. Please come on. Obviously, we have a tendency to ask some hard questions sometimes, but that's because we actually use this stuff, and this is something that I would be interested in.
I like it. It's a beautiful machine, though, too. The design is beautiful.
It's clean. It compares well with some of the, like XYZ has an SLA in this price range, but people have talked about, you get what you pay for. They've gone through the trouble of actually creating from our friends at Sketchfab, a little model. Let's see if it'll finish. Then you can actually look around, and there we go.
God, has Sketchfab come a long way in only just a couple years? It's amazing. They are really just going for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real nice unit. As we've talked about before, some people don't even have this amber transparent unit, so we know that it's probably in the near UV range. Yeah, I think it's a really nice unit, as we talked about. And look, you can it has resin bottles that you put in. I like this feature in Sketchfab too. You can now add hotspots, removable resin tank, progress indicator. So I mean, obviously, it's not as fancy as the Form 2's new color display. But, this is all I guess they had a small display.
Oh, you mean the new color display that doesn't let me upgrade the firmware easily? It was a pain in the butt, and I had to contact support. It took like a week to even get mine going because the firmware was bricked, the unit.
Now, kids, keep in mind, even though this looks like what do you want to call it? A blender or a smoothie maker or whatever. It is not. This is actually toxic resin. You don't put this in your kitchen. I can see that now. Oh, that's not. Oh, sorry. Oh well. Okay.
Well, cool.
Move on to another item.
Okay,
and so yes, the invitation is out there. If you're out there, Yunez, and you're watching this, I think it's Yunez or Unez. Please, we'd love to have you on, and we can talk more about it.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. So on to our 3D InDesign Quanergy.
Wait, and we actually have
so this is 3D InDesign architecture and engineering. This goes along with the architecture engineering part of things. Quanergy announces a $250 solid-state LIDAR for cars, robots, and more. Last week, we covered the new sweep that went live on Kickstarter. I think it was actually a couple weeks ago. So they're nearing the end, and they're really close on their funding. If you are in the need of a cheap, affordable LIDAR, go out to Kickstarter and check out sweep. But here's another contender on the market. Quanergy has also unveiled a couple new products, the S3 and the M8-1, which are also low-cost LiDAR solutions that are coming to market, and those will be available soon. They haven't said exactly when. This one here, the M8-1, gives you a 360-degree field of view, and they're saying that they are super low power, high reliability, and fine resolution. And they are also resistant to false returns, just like some of the higher end LiDAR sensors. So if you need a LiDAR for your robot that you're building, Quanergy or the sweep might be exactly what you need.
So is this different than the one that we covered a few weeks ago?
Yeah. The one we covered a few weeks ago was the sweep LiDAR. It's still live on Kickstarter. It's only got 71 hours, and they made their goal. Yay! And these are based out of Santa Barbara. These guys are based out of Santa Barbara, and they've got this, and they're building a whole SDK. They've kind of been, they're even more kind of out there than the Quanergy one. And they already have they're already testing the thing. They've already put it on robots and shown some demos on room dimensioning. They've also got it on Sketchfab. You can check it out.
I've shown you my LiDAR, right? There, let me see if I can find it again. There you go. Here. This is my LiDAR. It's attached to a vacuum cleaner.
A robot vacuum?
Yeah. So I've got my little robo LiDAR system here too.
Yeah. I think if you were going to develop your own robot and you wanted to have one that was extensible and kind of modular, that has an SDK, you might want to have a unit that actually has a development kit.
There's a development kit on this.
Is there?
I think there is. And people
is it ROS compliant? Because the one for the robot,
I don't know, Chris.
Yeah. So the one, because I've been working with these robot people, right? And everybody that I've been working with is now developing in ROS because it's obviously open source free. And it's a great development environment for robotics. So the ROS is I'm trying to remember what the acronym stands for. ROS is Robot Operating System, and it's Linux based, and you can program it, and it interfaces with Arduinos and Raspberry Pis, and I mean you can load the whole thing on a Raspberry Pi and have it drive your robot. And a lot of the sensors are ROS. They have API backends that tie in with ROS as libraries, and they're super easy to. You can get a robot up and going in like a day now, which I mean, it's just amazing, especially if you're like fluent in these things.
Yep. Well, as we know, some of the newer quads are robots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So very cool. Oh, you know who that is? That's Baxter, that last character.
Yeah, Baxter. Baxter actually runs ROS.
And I saw them at AWE. It was kind of neat. Okay, so let me move on to my next unit. So this actually is covering two areas at one. It's also based upon another technology we cover a lot in scanning, and that is photogrammetry. So if you are lucky enough to have an HTC Vive, I guess they started shipping, and I have a little video I'll show a little bit later, which I think was pretty fun. Valve is a pretty cool company. I really enjoyed the little video, and I hope our audience does too. But they introduce something called realities, and let's see if we've got some images. And essentially, I'm not seeing anything. Where did all the images go? There we go. No.
Realities.io. Tell us about it.
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to. I was hoping for some images. So realities.io, and there's a couple of articles out there. They use, we've all seen 360. I mean, Google has brought in Street View in 360, so you can use your VR glasses, cardboard, or whatever to view your area. But it's two-dimensional, meaning it's more like a cylinder that you're looking at instead of actually stereo 3D. Now, there is something that we talked about last week with our guest crasher, Dominique, and that is using these things called, now I've already forgotten the name for them, but cube maps, which if you create stereo cube maps, you can get the sense of three-dimensionality, but again, you're positioned in one location. So let's leap one further, and this is where Realities.io comes in. Using photogrammetry, they're able to capture scenes like this, and I thought they would have more information on it, so I'm a little disappointed. I truly thought there was more. Oh well. So it just gives you a little sneak peek here, but by using photogrammetry, they were able to capture all the nuances of an indoor or maybe even external environments, and then using their software, immerse you in it using the HTC Vive. Now, keep in mind the big difference between the HTC Vive and the Oculus is the HTC Vive, if set up correctly, can create an environment you can walk around and interact in. So imagine using photogrammetry, which is super real, putting on your goggles and having this super photorealistic environment that is in 3D that you can walk around in. So again, sadly, I thought there was more here. Now, there's a few articles out there. Maybe I'll jump back to it during your next item, but they look stunning. And sad thing is I don't have an HTC Vive, but may want to get one now. As I mentioned, Occipital has a test unit, and maybe I'll just say, hey, go get this. Let's see what that's like. But that's really been my ultimate goal with everything that I have been doing. I want to be able to go to other locations, different areas, and feel like I'm there. I'm not much of a gamer, but to be able to transform oneself to a different location, I think is the real cool thing. So the company is realities.io. After Chris's next item, I should have a little bit more information and some scenes. I really thought there was more here. Actually, it is out on Vive now. So if you want to go take a look, you've got a Vive, I would look into it. But I will bring it up in the Steam store. Actually, there's a couple articles. So Chris, why don't you grab your next item and then I'll come back to this.
Okay. Well, we're going to jump on down to the 3D Scanner Darkly 3D scanning news.
Scanner Darkly.
Okay. Okay. Fuel TV or Fuel 3D. I know, Mike, you have some experience with these guys, right?
Not some positive, but okay.
They released Studio 2.1 software, and it's for their scanner, Scanify, and it apparently improves. It adds major improvements to their scan quality.
Well, that's very important, and I'll tell you why once you get it through this.
So apparently they have known that the scan data captures have not been so good, and they are adding major improvements for the Z-axis precision with this update. So if you have a Fuel 3D scanner, going out to their website, Fuel 3D, and grab Scanify Studio 2.1.
And that's some really good points. Scroll to a little bit up. You already brought it down. Bring it back up for a moment. I want to show you if this is true, and they've actually done a good job with it. The thing that makes the Fuel 3D very cool is that it uses a stereo imaging technology. There's multiple cameras, but they're spaced apart, and it uses that to create a parallax 3D. The problem with that, this is the one I wanted to look at, the images in the past looked like the ones on the left. As you can tell, there's not very much Z information. The depth information was very minimal. So even though they were able to capture a lot of mesh detail, they didn't have much Z information. And as you can see there, it was squashed. So the concern I have is, are they artificially improving that Z, or are they actually deriving better information out of the parallax imaging that comes out of the unit itself? And as you know, I did have one, and don't have it now because I felt this was really, a little cold water on what I thought was a very cool product. And so if they're able to do this and not artificially improve that, then I think that's a big plus. The other thing that they don't show you that I thought was a big concern, and not to promote another company called Occipital, they don't do automatic stitching, or at least they haven't. Maybe that is also mentioned in this update that you're talking about. But if they have, cool. Otherwise, you're only good. And if you notice, all the images have been like of faces, and only the front of the faces, because they have had no way of stitching it. Now, I do know that they were working on software to stitch them at a different point, but I found it very difficult to work with. It wasn't automatic. You couldn't just go around an object and it would automatically stitch it together. The computational process seemed to be a little bit too intense for it to be done in real time. So I don't know if that's still an issue. So those are the two things that were kind of, what do you want to call it? Icebreakers. Is that a good word for it? I don't know. What would you call it? Showstoppers. There we go. That kind of backed me off from the product. But again, everything is an iterative process, and glad that they're still plugging away at it. All right, so I did find a video, and I'm going to jump to it right now, for Realities.io. And this is a globe, and notice they're spinning it around with the Vibe controller there.
Mm-hmm. So this is Google Earth.
No, this is the Realities.io that we were just talking about.
Oh, there it is.
And now, by using that globe, now they're going directly in. Now, remember, they are in this scene. He just walked into the scene. This is the HTC Vive. It's funny, it kind of reminds me of my little video there for, remember when I did mine back in June?
They're going to have so much cool titles coming in the next couple of years. It's just going to be so awesome. I mean, like, I want to play Jack in the Beanstalk and be the giant, or Gulliver's Travels. Gulliver's Travels. Remember Gulliver? And like
Lucky's,
grow up in Lucky's Tale.
Lucky's Tale will be that for you.
I did it. No spoilers. No spoilers. La 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 la.
Well, I do have a gripe I'm going to talk about, but look at this.
No griping.
This is, I have it. Sorry.
Only pumping only puffing it up. We have to. It's puffery.
Well,
salesman. We're pushing 3D onto the masses, Mike.
Okay. I have a gripe. So, isn't this cool? I want an
Very
HTC
cool.
Vive.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
I wanted. Oh well. Yes.
Wow.
Look at that. What does this do to your brain? I had a conversation with Dominic yesterday about what does this do to children? And obviously, Oculus has put some age restrictions on their device now, and there might be some good reason for that. Not necessarily from a physical harm, but okay. So, I mean, this is just awesome. So again, using photogrammetry, they've constructed this, what do you want to call it, environment that is photorealistic, but also three-dimensional, that you can interact in, walk around it.
And then they need to have those things that you were saying last on the April Fools, with the thing that goes in your nose, so it smells like bum piss, and yeah, and then it's a complete experience in this, urban urban jungle.
Yeah. Well.
You know?
Yeah. Well, what did we call that? Yeah, that was the magnetic. Geez, can't remember the name of it, but yeah, olfactory neuron stimulator.
They call it. It's Bumpus the game.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
So,
Let's segue in. This is perfect segue into the next thing. Can I bring it up?
Oh, sure. Go ahead. No,
Okay.
go ahead. Go.
Okay. OptiTrack at GDC 2016. I know GDC happened, but this just popped up on Vimeo 2 days ago. Did you see this?
I watched it. Okay. It's cool. So yeah, show it. Cool.
Okay. This is OptiTrack.
Okay. Make sure you expand the video though.
Okay. Let's expand the video. And you'll have to go in the show notes if you want to watch this in high res. But here they are. They're wearing VR headsets and they're passing a basketball. They have tracking, real-time. OptiTrack has these real-time tracking that's tracking the basketball and the player movement. So they're actually passing a basketball. So they're showing how this could be this is bridging the physical and the virtual world together. It's bringing them both together. And we're running the Google Hangout, so Vimeo is giving me a little hiccup here. And then they show this gal dancing, and but a really, really cool video that is definitely showing off some cool stuff where this is going. There's a guy in a wheelchair dribbling a basketball.
I'll give a shout out to Voices of VR. That's a great podcast where the guy does great interviews with all the people in the VR. He had a panel of people from Road to VR, and they talked about this in detail. So if you want some pretty good detail about what went on with this, I think the guy actually tried it on. And his experience was it felt real. I mean, the latency was really good. And so he actually felt like he could, I mean, remember, this guy has this viewer on his face. And so he was able to catch the ball because the ball was being tracked. He could watch a 3D representation because she's wearing a tracker outfit. And he could see all the motions with very little latency and actually capture this without seeing it. So that actually is really, really cool.
I mean, the OptiTrack sensors they have one that can actually do a 10,000 square foot building with one of these sensors.
Well, they're expensive, so let's rain on the parade. I mean, they're not cheap.
Yeah, so I think, but with the VR experiences that they're going to start, I mean, we're going to start seeing some real VR experiences in the pipeline here. We already do. I think they have one center in, Salt Lake City. They have one of these has gone live now. They've got a VR kind of like a game center where you go and you got a gun and you can go and play with multiplayer in a big warehouse space and you're being tracked.
We've actually covered that before and I've already forgotten the name of it. You can go to Utah, Salt Lake City, and they have one there, but they're planning to bring it elsewhere. And sadly, and I had it the other day, it's just like a single syllable word.
It's called The Void.
There, thank you. Great. The Void. That is super cool. They've got proprietary headsets as well as they have like a what do you want to call it? A portable computer. I don't know if it's a laptop that fits in a backpack or something, which allows them to be able to actually walk around and have the whole unit environment. But they created.
I'm going to go do this.
Okay. Well, maybe we should do it together.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if that's where Siobhan wants to go.
I want to do this.
Some real life. Well, you go and you can tape your phone to your head or something and give us a live blow by blow. Okay. Well, the sad thing is you started our VR corner and we skipped our ethics in actually our 3D in medicine. So I want to go back if you don't mind.
Go for it.
But before that, again, our transition to our VR in corner. We'll just finish this up and then go back to medicine. VR corner in a round room. That's my new headset I'm working on. Just thought I'd let you know there. there, audience. See? So there you go. So if you see this in the future, we are now in the VR corner in a round room. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into my item that I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, let's see if I can bring that up. Where is it at? Here we go. You know, we covered this a couple of months ago, no, a little bit long. If you remember, NVIDIA worked with Stanford to create a new type of headset. Well, maybe not new, but used light valve technology or light field technology. This is the same thing that what is it called? I want to say Reality Magic, but Magic Leap is using as well. And we covered that in depth in a previous episode and looked at their patents. This is a little unique. One, if you can tell, it's very compact, very small. But essentially, what they don't really tell you about this and in this article is that they use, if there's a paper out that, and I'll make sure there's a link, it's called pinhole technology. So do you remember pinhole cameras, Chris?
Of course, I have a 1916 Eastman Kodak pinhole right here.
So what made the pinhole camera unique?
That you could take photographs.
You had no lens.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So even though a pinhole camera allows you to take images without a lens, you can also use this process to view images without lenses. And that's the technique these researchers have worked with in order to create what they call lensless system that allows you literally to put this right up to your face. And this article doesn't really show, but I do have a video that I will bring up that does show the process that this guy is researching. So notice he's showing you bring it up to your face, as you may or may not have tried, and it's blurry. But it focuses with a camera because there's a lens in it. Now he's showing you with a loop, but notice the physical size of the loop.
Yeah, the first cameras, Mike, were pinhole cameras.
Yeah. Okay, so here he has an image, and notice the way it looks, and there's a reason for it. And now he's going to put this layer on top of it, which is the pinholes.
Huh.
And you'll see what the results are. So there he's focusing on the pinholes, but as you get closer, notice that you can see the image underneath them. And then he goes through explaining how that works.
People are smart.
But, you know, the fallacy behind this at this particular point is you do have a severe screen door effect. But could we make the pinholes even finer? So the other things, and I don't know if this video progresses, and there he actually shows, you can see the NVIDIA logo, because this is done by the NVIDIA Research Lab.
This is cool.
Now, keep in mind, that's literally laid on top of the screen. I think there might be a small gap, but you can actually read text, but there is no lens per se. So this thing that I have on my screen over here is an extension of that. So here are two little, actually smartwatch panels that I was told. And these are those pinhole lenses here, and then you can just put it in the glasses. So, I mean, obviously the effect is not crystal clear, but for people, and this is interesting because I'm actually in conversations with people about developing something for people that have near blindness, and they have certain issues that can't be fixed surgically. Because they don't see things correctly. They have distortion and so forth. So what they do now is they have cameras. They take the cameras, they do some computation on it, and then they project that into either a screen or something so that they see something that has been modified based upon their geometric distortion that their eyes are seeing, which gives them an image that they can use. So if you put two stereo cameras, you're giving sight back to people that aren't completely blind, but literally almost blind because of the particular ailment that the visual distortion that they're seeing. So I could see something like this. You may not need super quality, but would give them the ability to make computational modifications and then allow them to see something, maybe not crystal clear, but better quality in a lightweight package. So again, this is just progression on what we talked about before. Also, because you have these panels that can be tunable, you can focus them in and out. And that's the key thing behind this, they call it near eye light field display, which is near eye, as we just talked about, and the light field display, which is using computation to be able to focus on different planes. Again, we talked about this in depth with the Magic Leap. So very cool, lots of research going on there, and to be able to do something without lenses at all, I think is pretty cool. But it's in its infancy, but we'll see some progression on that. All right, well, that was our VR Corner in a Round Room. So let me jump back, and I actually have a slide, but I guess I'll skip it. So back into 3D in medicine, this was kind of cool, and actually it was in the news already, but I think it's an important item. And as we know, we've seen several articles where they've used 3D printing to help pets who may have lost a leg or something, and allows them to have mobility again. So this vet, I guess he goes, what is he known as, the super vet or something, but they talk about the ethics behind this. Now that you have all this technology that can save your cat, you know, are we morally responsible now for giving them longer lives? And I think that's an important thing. I mean, obviously, I am very attached to my 2 dogs, and I'm running into issues right now with, we have 4 cats. 2 cats are 17 years, and I think one of them's towards the end of her life. And even though we could spend lots of money and probably improve her kidney disease, you know, do we? And I guess this is part of the conversation in this article done at 3dprint.com. So kind of interesting. I think it's a good point. And then it's, and obviously we end it with this very little cute doggy and his little thing. Okay. So would we just like to euthanize this little puppy?
Oh.
No. So I think it's a good thing. Go out there and read more about it. 3D Print does a lot of interesting articles. But I wanted to cover it last week, but we had obviously way too much on our plate. So this week we did. So that is 3D in medicine. And I do have a plate for it, which didn't get loaded. But in the future, it will be more delineated as well. Okay, so on to something else. In our news section, we did Scanner, we did our VR Corner. What are we on? Oh, how about we go right to you, Mr. Print Whisperer. Dun,
Print
dun,
Whisperer has a tip today.
and look at
There he is.
I should have had the theme music too. Huh?
Wrangling your prints in.
All right,
so
Mr. Print Whisperer.
Today is a reading tip. I like to read. And this one has to do with filament and material selection, most notably material selection and mechanical design. But it's a book, Material Selection and Mechanical Design, 4th edition.
What is that?
It's a book. It's
What's
called
a
Materials.
book?
It's made out of paper, which comes from trees.
Trees?
Or recycled paper that was previously made from trees. And it's available on Amazon, which that I'm sure everybody's aware of. And it's kind of a little bit of an expensive book. You can buy it on your Kindle. It's like $54 on the Kindle. It's $62 new, but you can buy a used one. I think I bought a used one. And this book is like basically a college type textbook almost. And it's got all these really, first off, it starts off the book and it kind of tells you what some of these calculus equations really mean when you look at like material data sheets and stuff. So, you know, you look at the Talman 3D, like the nylons, and you see all of these numbers, right? material density or tensile strength, elongation, and all these properties. And if you want to know what those actually mean, you gotta study up. You gotta just do the research. And you could go to Wikipedia, but this book is really good because it tells you with case studies exactly why Toyota or Honda picked this kind of plastic for their seat handle lever, is because all of the learning that they went through with these other materials. Oh, they found this other material with a higher elongation, it's more impact resistant. It'll teach you all of that stuff. It's a really cool book. Check it out. And most of the information, it gets into some stuff that you don't really need to know. So just like most books that are technical in nature, is you take what you need from a book like this. It's a reference book. I keep it on my shelf. I pull it out. I look at stuff, see what people are using, because there's all these different filaments on the market now, and there's some really great ones, but there isn't one filament that's going to do everything you need. So you're going to need to use nylon for certain things. You're going to need to use ABS for other things. So you choose the right material for the right mechanical design that you're working on. So this book can help you. Highly recommend you go out and spend the money and pick up a book. I think it was like $60. Like I said, I think I bought this used. I think it was like 30 some bucks.
Cool. You
don't need a new one. Yeah. So, and it's got really cool graphs that you can learn how to understand about material specs, So next time you read the Talman specs or ABS specs on a material data sheet, you know what they mean, and you know how to put it all together. So that's my tip of the day: material selection.
Well, thank you, Mr. Print Whisperer. Maybe I should put this back up to remind our audience of the Print Whisperer. I need to get the soundtrack.
Howdy, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Print Whisperer. All right. So Mr. Balzer has a rant for today. Last night he spent a lot of time tinkering with something he not ready to show yet, but he was using his loop with his what is it? DK2, Oculus Rift 2. Now you're wondering, how does that work? Well, I decided I don't really like these face huggers, as you know, so I have been using my loop a lot. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could convert my DK2? Sad thing is, I also upgraded the software. I don't know, for whatever reason, I thought that I could upgrade it to the same one that you guys who were lucky enough to have a CV1. And sadly, it told me I'm not supported anymore. And I can't open up any of the games.
What?
So even though I have a machine, even though it says my i7 processor, which is more than fast enough, but because it's not one of the more recent ones, it tells me it's unsupported, but it doesn't flag me as it won't be able to use it. It just says I may have bad results. But the fact is I'm using a DK2 unsupported. I can't open up one of the free ones that I downloaded. Now, I can still sideload things, I think. I don't know. I'm still in the process of trying that. But actually using the Oculus Store, yeah, I've been dismissed because I'm too old. Too old, and I'm an older model. Gosh, just more ways for us senior citizens and older people to be banned from society. No, I don't think so. However, if you do have a DK2 and was hoping for the best, there's some foreign information that, yes, that is the case. The other thing, even though when I did get something up and running, actually, I shouldn't say that. I was in the store. It looks cool. It looks a lot like the Gear VR. So when you get it, you'll see what I'm talking about. Really cool. It's like you're on a rug. It's a very zen scene. I think there's actually maybe some water going on. I don't remember, but
that sounds like really
it's very tranquil, and it's very cool. Like I said, it's very similar to the Gear VR in some respect. And your menu of items, your catalog, what items your library is all there just by gazing. But the sad thing is they really locked you into their own little remote and the Xbox controller, which I had neither of, so I couldn't do anything. So I have a controller, but it didn't function. My mouse didn't function. My keyboard didn't function. So I was just stuck there gazing at nothing. So luckily, the only one I was able to get was, and I think there's some problems with Steam VR as well, because some of the games that used to work under the previous driver crash. One that did work, which was kind of called Mind VR or something like that, was kind of neat. It's like an educational game that's worked in the past. I tried that. Yeah, pretty cool. So if you've got a DK2 and wondering why it doesn't work, join the bandwagon. And,
sorry about that, Mike. That sucks.
Well, but it is over a year and a half. It was a developer version, so it's time to pony up if you really want to get in the real.
They should
stuff.
do a trade-in program, right?
Oh, come on, Chris! It was only like $300. I think that would be cool. But, they did give free units out to those who were Kickstarter backers originally after even getting their DK1s.
Yeah, and some say that Palmer did that personally himself.
Yeah, he went up to Alaska to deliver the very first one, and the guy didn't have a machine ready to run it, is what I heard. The other thing is the CEO of Occipital also got his unit, and he thinks high marks of it as well. So, Chris, I hope you're not holding back on me.
I'm not
playing this week.
I'm not.
You didn't tell me. I want you to tell me because,
I'll
like
show
I said,
you it. Yeah, I've heard the thing is comfy. A lot of people saying it's real comfy. A lot of really positive feedback. Obviously, you got some people that are the naysayers that are huffing and puffing because it's late on delivery, or they haven't really given a firm shipping commitment to some of us. But I'll let you know as soon as it comes, Mike. Don't worry.
So. Back to that point, that's my little rant. I wish my DK2 would work, but it doesn't. And so, yeah, pretty cool. And like I said, as soon as you get yours in, hopefully you can have me come there and we can do the show from yours. I want to cover the 2 calendar items, and then I'm going to leave the show with this video trailing. So that way, if you want to jump out, or watch it on your own. But I want you to hang on because I think this is cool. Again, Valve has some pretty good imagination. But for now, let's cover our calendars. So what's going on in the 3D print world? Probably not much more than last week. So if you're in, the 3D food printing conference in the Netherlands, hey, you could add a few pounds on that one. And then the additive Serienfertigung in Würzburg, Germany. And then we can go to Finland. So then we can go back to Germany in Mainz.
Geez, everything's going on in Europe.
Yep. And then we can jump over to China for the
E3 is coming.
Well, we're not there yet. E3 is not until June. You're already ahead of yourself.
I know. Right, so Nintendo.
So again, that's brought to us by... Who's that brought to us by? Learning to Print or something on 3D print. But let's move on to Road to VR. They have their nice little calendar. Again, I haven't looked into what Casino VR Poker Marathon is, but maybe I should. But let's see. We have VR Chat Sunday, so they have their own little programs. So once you get a unit, you could actually go into VR and chat as an avatar. And then I'm actually going to tune into this Gunter's Universe. Looks like they get together and talk with I guess Gunter, who is a VR developer and podcaster. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what he's got to say on the whole VR thing. And like I said, there is some great, actually, Road to VR is a great, not Road, excuse me, Voices of VR is a great little podcast. And give him a shout out. Hopefully I can get him on the show and ask him why he did it, because like us, he's quit his day job. Well, I didn't quit my day job, but he quit his day job just to do this. So obviously needs a few bucks to go around to these shows, and it's nice because he interviews a ton of people. I mean, he's got material every day. So about 30 minutes, so it's a nice little bite size, not like our I can't even say it. Huge meal. Jeez.
Huge meal.
Huge meal.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to leave it with this little thing. So while I'm showing this, Chris, you might do the credits and then kind of fade off into the background there. All right,
Okay.
so you ready?
Yeah. Is it the vibe showing up? It is. People in their vibes, they love showing these show up videos. Setting up the room, setting up the room. Thank you, Matter and Form, Uniz 3D, the OSSIC X, Kickstarter, Realities, Quanergy, 3dprint.com, Fuel 3D, GTC, NVIDIA, OptiTrack, and if we missed you, thank you to all of our beautiful listeners.
So we're going to show you some virtual reality today. You know, it's really hard to show people what it's like to be in virtual reality without having them try it for themselves. Filming you in the green screen studio is just the best way we found to help everyone else understand what it's like to be in VR. Any questions?
Can I go first?
All right, go crazy.
Taking the green room effect to a
I love this video.
level. Oh, have you seen it already?
You're so
Yes.
cute.
She plays fetch with this thing.
Oh, really?
It's cool. The green screen is actually a really good way to show it off.
Yeah, look at it. He actually gets it.
But look at her enjoyment.
I know.
It makes you feel like you're pulling a string back. Left, check left.
Oh,
yeah, nice shot.
Yes way.
Oh my goodness, these guys are so cool.
Look behind you, Kyra.
Order up.
Picking? Oh no,
Is that how you cook for your family at home, human?
it's burned.
Now, this particular
Eat those
demo
donuts, Trey.
was announced and available in
Get those
the
donuts.
Steam room.
I love it. It's such a cool way to show it off.
There
It's
you
only
go.
available for the Vive, which makes sense. But it's free, so if you want some
No, the other way. The wheels are a little off kilter.
Hold on. I'm gonna get really hungry down here. A little bit of a torque issue.
A little torque issue there.
Right into the black hole.
Oh.
Can we go?
I mean, I'm excited.
No, I can't. The grid's here.
The grid wall here, that's to stop you from walking into the couch, walking into the walls.
Oh, this is so cool. I can move all this stuff.
Look at this thing.
Yes.
Oh, you gotta keep with the beat.
Well, you know that everybody's having a great time. Smile. So, you know, if I was a little more forward thinking, but I really don't have the sort of slow, they'll pay like $20. I don't know what the model would be, but practical. I think
Got him.
So again, the problem I have with
Can you
all
see me?
these is that
Yeah. Hold us some fingers. Let me see if
cable.
5.
Oh no! So I was put something on the ceiling to hold it up. Also
Have a little
takes some
fire.
attention.
Oh, I think he feels hot. I'm pretty sure.
Awesome video.
Pretty cool.
Awesome.
Well, Chris,
Signing off. We'll see you
All right.
next week on All Things 3D. So long.
bye.